Welcome to Continuum Comix Creative Corner, where we invite creators into the continuum to explore their creations and their creative journey. We're back. This is part 2. Rob's with me. We're going to be talking about his creation, Nightwolf, right now. We teased about it. We're going to stop teasing you and get right into it. And look at that variant cover. That's just amazing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that variant cover as we get into this?
Yeah, sure. So I've done a couple variant covers in the past. I think one of my favorites was by Sean Forney doing the Days of Future Past. I think it was X-Men 141 cover. And that, so I wanted to do that again. And then when Carlos and I were talking about doing so we were talking about what we were going to do with covers in general for this issue. And I gave him a couple ideas. I said, hey, do you want to do this one, or you want to do this one, or you want to do this one? And he kind of gravitated to two of them, which one was obviously it's the main standard cover with the Nightwolf using his explosive kinetic energy, and with Snowpaw and Blackclaw, and then the other being kind of like a quick intro to a new character who will be actually more so involved in the Snowpaw miniseries, Silvermane versus Blackclaw. So Silvermane, like I had mentioned, is actually going to be in a spin-off series with Snowpaw in a bigger, instance, starting more with issue 2. He makes a little bit in issue 1. But anyway, so with this cover, he and I were going back and forth, and he kind of was like, all right, well, we did in issue 4, we kind of did the 2 werewolves battling kind of a thing, like that one right there. And he thought that, doing the same situation would have been overkill, and I agreed with him. So as I was looking around, I thought, okay, well, we don't have a homage for this issue. And I sent him a couple. I thought, okay, well, if it's 2 characters fighting, what brings to mind these 2 feral animal kind of battling? And I thought Wolverine and Sabretooth, right? So that's where this cover really kind of came together, as far as because we've never really done a close up like we did with that homage. So I had sent him that, and he loved the idea of doing that really close-up shot of the 2 characters in that kind of locking position. And that's where that came to be. So, and then I was debating about, okay, well, do I do my normal cover dressing like I've done with some of my homages have been just right, it looks just like my normal book, or do I want to revisit the one where it's very X-Men style, with the lettering the way it is, and kind of made it look like an old Marvel book. So, I kind of went back and forth on it, and I said, you know what? I talked to a couple other creators that I, talked to, and ask questions, we bounce ideas off of each other. And they're like, dude, if you're going to do a homage, and you did a great one with that, X-Men cover, why not do it again? Why just go all in? So I was like, all right, we're going to go all in with that cover and make it, make it look much like the issue of 213.
So what do you think? Should we watch the video and let them see what Nightwolf is all about?
Yeah. Let's let them get a good glimpse of it, and then we'll go back in.
All right, here it is, guys. The official Nightwolf Kickstarter video for this issue. Here we are.
Do you love stories about anti-heroes and supernatural beings like werewolves, vampires, demons, witches, zombies, and more? Then Nightwolf is the comic book series for you. Nightwolf's unique take on theology and mythology encompasses elements of horror, magic, fantasy in a modern setting. Hi, I'm Robert A. Multari, the creator and writer of Nightwolf, as well as the founder of Lone Wolf Comics. It's been my dream since I was a kid struggling with attention deficit disorder and dyslexia to be a comic book creator, because comics have helped me learn to overcome my disability. Born into an outcast breed of werewolves known as the Monokai, 18-year-old Rodney Marcelli is reluctantly thrown into an ancient war between good and evil. With the help of Snowpaw, the pureblood Monokai, Rod must learn to master his newly found lycanthropy and mysterious kinetic energy power that only he possesses. Rod must fight the Dark Covenant in order to avenge his friends and family, and to save the girl he loves from the master vampire Lord Malice. Rodney Marcelli is Nightwolf. In April of 2016, I launched a failed Kickstarter campaign for Nightwolf issues 1 through 3. I played the game on hard, setting a $20,000 goal. However, I did manage to raise over $5,000, but Kickstarter is an all-or-nothing platform. I didn't let that failed launch stop me, so I decided to raise the money on my own by doing freelance web design jobs to pay the artists. After self-publishing Nightwolf issues 1 and 2, I came back to Kickstarter in October 2019. Since then, I've had 3 successfully overfunded campaigns for Nightwolf issues 3 and 4, and the Volume 1 trade paperback that collects all 4 issues. That's all thanks to my amazing backers that I refer to as my Wolfpack. Currently, I have written 12 issues of Nightwolf, and I have published the first 4 issues in print and digital formats. Now, I stand ready to publish issue 5, which is 100% complete and is ready to send off to the printers. That's why I've come back to pay for the printing and the rewards that you will receive for backing this project. I'd like to personally thank you in advance for backing this project and joining the Wolfpack. I'm extremely grateful for where I am now as a self-publisher and continuing to serialize Nightwolf for you to enjoy. There is no risk in backing this project since the first 4 issues are published and already printed, and issue 5 is print ready. Again, thank you for taking this creative journey with me. I appreciate it so much. So what are you waiting for? Join the Wolfpack today.
All right. Well, I'm already part of the Wolfpack, so talk to us about this campaign. What feels different about this campaign, and how did you find that success on the road?
Well, I think like for this one, so much, it's been an accumulative buildup, from my first successful one to this one, just picking up new members along the way, and just continuing with my story. I think the issue volume 1 basically was like that beginning. And it was kind of like a new hope with Star Wars, it basically opening up this new character who's kind of coming into this, by accident or whatever, have you. And then, so now issue 5 is kind of like where that journey into training to become this, this kind of like character that, coming into his own. So I guess that would be like my Empire Strikes Back. And then so that's the second volume. So we're kind of going into the second volume here now. This is the start of that first, the 4 issues of that volume 2. And then, so I think, people, and I tend to leave my issues on like a cliffhanger, to try and, kind of keep that interest in, like what's going to happen next kind of a thing. So I think that a lot of that build up and anticipation, kind of helps that along. And, for this, so I always try to offer, decent rewards, great rewards actually, with nice covers, and I give people plenty of options because not everybody can do the higher tiers, and not everybody wants to do the lower tiers. So you kind of give them a breadth of of options that's better for them, and honestly, and if there's people who can't back. I always say, if you can't back, take care of yourselves. Sharing is just as good in my book. I think that's very important, and especially for small businesses and small creators, being, having people to share and show, this, your stuff it's big, and that's huge.
I just want to say the art in this is just dope, man. I love the art that you have in this book. What kind of style does he call this? Because it almost feels like 90s comics and manga and anime had a baby, and it's this kind of art style, and it works really, really well.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of like, so Carlos is from Chile, so he has a lot of and I think Hispanic artists have a lot of manga influence as well as the American influence. So I think, because they live in that realm, I think the fact that they get a lot of both, it kind of helps. I've seen a lot of one side or the other. And so I think that's kind of where that all melded together. And especially with him, he has, a very broad, and he's very multi-talented too, because he's not just good at people. He's good at werewolves. He's good at buildings. He's very well-rounded as an artist. So I think it's just, having that education too, like, and they have schools down there that teach, you know, a lot of this stuff. And I think it just, you know, having that accessibility now with the internet too makes it just, you know, I think it's just a breeding ground for that. And and I think, you know, like now, like some of the younger like artists, I think kind of like might have a similar style or something, you know, build up towards it. But I think, yeah, Carlos is definitely ahead of his time when it came to that.
Absolutely beautiful. And you're almost out of time with this campaign, so I have to ask, what's next after this wraps up? And of course, you fulfill the campaign, and you fulfilled rather quickly. Oh, as a backer, I've gotten the books rather fast from you, so I know there's got to be something else you're planning.
Yeah, yeah. So once this campaign's fulfilled, and I'm already in the process of working on the next project with. So my next project is a spinoff series called Snowpaw. You and I've talked about this before, but now we're like halfway through the book as far as like the illustration and coloring. So that's going to be my next project, and I'm hoping for a late summer launch, if not early fall.
Fantastic. We are running out of time for our interview, so I want to ask you a very important question. Merchandising. There's money in merchandising. Everyone knows that. You look at Marvel, DC, even Image, action figures, and all that. Businessman Rob, put on the business caps. As creators, we have to have different caps. We have to throw them on that. What are the plans, merchandise? Like, I don't like calling them dreams because they're not dreams. You want to be serious about creating. You have to have ideas of where you want it.
Yep.
I figure action figures is a no-brainer.
All right.
Talk to me about other things that you honestly want to see, a television show, movies. What are the goals that you see that are aspirations that you want from this?
So I think I've always wanted to see a movie or a TV show that does werewolves right. I'm not saying that there's movies that didn't do it. You know, they each have their own like things, you know, and I love, you know, a lot of the classic werewolf movies as well as like some of the newer ones. But I always feel like there's always been an aesthetic that I felt was missing as far as like what the werewolf looks like. So I would love to see either a movie or even a series, because I think, you know, if I do a TV series or even a Netflix series or some kind of, you know, it gives me more room to tell the story, I think, you know, the way it's meant to be. You know, whereas you can do it in a movie format. But I think the TV series would have more longevity, if you will. Like, again, like The Walking Dead. So like hopes and aspirations. If this is as big as The Walking Dead or like close to it, you know, or even though, you know, better, you know, than it, I would, you know, I would be, that's kind of like my long-term goals for this series particularly.
Now you've already started to dive into the digital realm. Like we can see it here. Do you want to expand on what what looks to be an audio file is about?
Yeah, so that audio file is actually it's a music track from, so like you know, going back to like my decision making on life after like thinking I want to be in the comics. A lot of the decisions I made growing up were based around comic books, and even when I was in a rock band, you know, from like high school through the end of college, and a lot of my songs and, you know, lyrics and stuff kind of like in you know, album art came from like, you know, that kind of whole thing too, you know, telling stories, but through lyrics. So I've used some of those songs that my band and I had recorded years ago as themes to go along with these different Kickstarters, because they have a little bit of like, you know, not so much shared history or hints, but it's kind of like related themes, if you will. So that's what the audio files are, just basically songs that I felt that I had written and performed and drew or recorded, sorry, that I felt was close enough to the story to kind of be a theme song of that particular issue that was out.
And I think that it's fantastic, everything you've done. Well, I expect you on the road soon, playing with the band again, tuning up the guitar.
Well, we did get together last summer in my bassist guitar, or my bass guitar's garage, just to kind of get the dust off and see how things went. So, and honestly, it actually went better than we thought. So it might be a thing.
Music in the front, comics in the back. That's just what I'm saying. I want to thank you for all the time today. It is always amazing to sit down and talk with you. I can't wait to have you back on so we could do that and have another conversation about the future projects that you're working on. Of course, you have exciting stuff coming in, so this fall we'll revisit. But for now, how can they find your campaign? The fastest part.
Yep. So if the quick link is lonewolfcomics.com/Nightwolf. That'll take you to the Kickstarter campaign. And if you're on the socials, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Lone Wolf Comics. And, I'm posting constantly and posting great art pages, stuff you can see. And that'll also take you to the campaign.
And how can they follow you as a creator as well? Just you, for Rob.
Just me. So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Rob Multari.
I want to thank you for your time tonight. You're awesome. I love hanging out with you. That's it, guys. We'll see you at the next Creative Corner, brought to you by Continuum Comix. I'm very excited about this series. And as you can see, we get to know creators a lot better this way by sitting around and talking to them. So if you have any more questions for Rob, send them to us. I'm happy to pass them along to him, or hopefully reach out directly to him and become a fan of someone. He's a giant fan of comics himself. We'll see you at the next one. Continuum Comix is more than a comic series, more than an LLC, more than an idea. It is a bridge to connect all creators of all levels and unite them in creation and conversation while putting out content to entertain fans and inviting everyone in to the Continuum.